I'm Camille Vidal, and I actually have been in the No and Low movement from pretty much the beginning. So I launched La Maison Wellness after 15 years in the industry. I really wanted to support the movement and to be part of this exciting category. And so at the end of 2017, the beginning of 2018, I launched La Maison Wellness with very much that desire to help the category to move forward. I am the creator of Mindful Cocktail, and I'm generally really, really excited about the category. If you know me, you know that I'm always talking about it. I'm always creating Mindful Cocktail, and I really believe in how exciting and how ambitious the category is, and how much we can play a really big role in this category. So we talked a bit about mindful drinking and the no and low category, but I think it's important also to define what is mindful drinking. For a lot of people, they kind of assume that mindful drinking is just about sobriety. You know, it's just about cutting out alcohol, when actually we've seen from what Paul was saying and Emma was saying that the category is much more complex than this. And there's a lot of different people in this category that we're kind of putting in the same basket at the moment. So for me, mindful drinking is about becoming aware of our drinking habits and understanding that we want to change the way that we drink for the better. And that means that for some people, that means sobriety. And for a lot of people, that means moderation. So if you're looking at the numbers, the numbers of sobriety aren't as big as actually what moderation is like. More than half of the population in the UK and in the US are saying that they want to change their drinking habits. And that there's a lot of excitement around it, but also a lot of education and inspiration that needs to be done, where we can play a really big role on how we can shape and how we can change the drinking culture. So if we look at what does it look like, even in moderation, it looks completely different. For some people, that means being a trialer. For some others, that means being a blender. For some people, that means being a substituer. And so that is a study that shows that really in different occasions, you have different opportunities. And I think it's really important, either you're a brand, either you work in the bar, to really start to understand the consumer. Because the person who's a trialer, who normally drink alcoholic beverage, but wants to change and switch things, versus the person who's a blender, kind of mix things around, or the person who's a substituer, which means in some occasion they're going to drink alcohol, in some other occasion they're going to drink non-alcoholic. If you understand that, you have so much more power in either creating a product that will be relevant for the right audience, or creating an offer for your venue that will really satisfy your consumer. But what I find really interesting is when I started La Maison Wellness in 2017, I feel like after 15 years in the drinks industry, in the booze industry, I feel like I was not boozy enough for my community that was in the drink industry, but then for the sober community, I wasn't dry enough, because I was also talking about moderation. On La Maison Wellness, you will see there's alcohol-free cocktail, but there's also low alcohol cocktail. And that has completely shifted in the past few years. We see that moderation is actually a bigger part, and most people that are in the mindful drinking movement are actually moderating. And so that, again, is really important to understand when you understand the motivation behind why people are moderating. And again, that can be someone who's taking a break and actually cutting out alcohol for health condition, mental health reason, someone who's, training for a marathon or whatever, a woman that is having a baby, or someone who's very focused on their career, someone who just loves the product. All the different motivation will create different drinking habits, will create different product that it will tend to be connected with. We talked a little bit, actually, Paul mentioned the size of the category. So in 2022, it reached 11 billion. But what's also interesting is it's looking like it's going to grow by a third in 2026, which means that it's a really exciting and growing. And yes, it's still small, but it's a growing category that is really, really expanding and that we want to be part of. I think that if you are, a spirit maker, it's a moment that you want to get on board. You don't want to miss it. You want to understand the opportunity that is right now. And if you are in the venue, if you are a bar owner, or restaurant owner, I think it's really important to understand why you need to get on board with this category. There we go. So I'm going to give you a little bit of insights but more for some Europe, some UK, some US. So in the UK, there's a study that came out from CAM that was done with Luckesand, a beer, that shows that there's more than 1 in 3 visits in the trade that are now alcohol-free, and that is growing, and that's in pub and bars and restaurant. And when we look, and actually that was a study that was done all around the world in 10 different markets, when we ask people what they have when they don't drink alcohol, the answer is soft drink, water, coffee, tea, energy drink, etc., etc. And there we see that like we're actually missing a huge opportunity. I think that one of the biggest challenges that we have still in the category is the availability of the product and is the distribution. And I think that what we need to see more, and when you hear the passion of the amazing makers of the no and low, you want to support those people. You want to make those amazing alcohol-free products that are in the market available for the consumer, because the consumer wants it. We've shown you half of the population in most countries want to change their drinking habit. What they don't have is the knowledge, the education, and the availability in venues. So this is what we really need to change. And this is really the opportunity that we have in our hospitality industry to increase the benefits. Because if we look at another incredible number from the UK, there's more than 800 million that is left on the table every year from venues, from not upselling, from tap water. We're not in an industry of tap water. We don't sell tap water. That's not what we want to pour in glasses of people, right? We want to serve drinks. We want to create an experience. And we want to make sure that our bottom line, our profit is up. And this is an amazing way for you to do it, to increase the profits of your venue. There is another risk, which is not just missing out on a massive opportunity to make money for your venue, but it's also becoming less relevant or less of a place where people want to go. And that is the risk of a poor no and low offer. Because if we look at it, there's a lot of people that actually don't go to places because they don't have an offer. So what does it look like, a great menu in a low and low? Well, spoiler alert, it is not a mocktail. If you know me, you also know that I'm really, really trying to fight against this word. And not just the word itself, because it's a mock of a cocktail and no one wants a mock of a cocktail, but also because the era of the mocktail like this exact picture, where it's a mix of soft drink served with a lot of artificial flavor and a plastic straw, is gone. We know we don't want to use plastic straw. We love turtles, right? And we also know that like we expect way more when it comes to alcohol-free cocktail than just mixed juices. We want sophisticated drinks. And also, you can have maybe one of these. Maybe you can finish it if you're really thirsty, but you're definitely not going to order another one. What we want to create is sophisticated, delicious drink that happen to be alcohol-free, like Everleaf, like Botivo, that are just beautiful aperitifs, standalone drinks that regardless if you drink alcohol or not, you should be trying and enjoying. We also need to move away from the idea of what we personally like or dislike. I think the challenge that we see in the industry is a lot of people just putting their personal opinion and not understanding that actually you're serving your guest, and you want to make sure that your offer is relevant for every single person that comes into your bar. That is the DNA of what we do in hospitality industry. And now we know it. There's so many products available. I mean, even just last year, there was more than 72 products that were launched all around the world, and that doesn't include beer. That's just for the spirits. So I think that it's really exciting to see that the category is growing. So becoming curious and trying everything is really where it's at. Then I say that like there's different things that you want to consider. And this is very much for venue if you have a bar or a restaurant. But I also want you to think that like if you are, a spirit maker, if you are making products, that also apply for you and why you should be thinking of including an alcohol-free offer into your portfolio, even though you're making alcoholic spirits. But this is very much for venue. So I think understanding the placement on your menu, making sure that like it's not at the back of the menu with the chicken nuggets and the fries for the kids, but it's actually incorporated and it's inclusive. in the way that like you're talking. When everything that we've seen so far is we get to play as industry professional a huge play in the education and in changing the way that we do things to make sure that we incorporate adult sophisticated beverages that are alcohol-free in the experience of what we do. So really thinking of that, this is not, alcohol-free isn't an afterthought. It should be part of exactly the same craft of exactly the rest of your menu. So making sure that like you understand where it is in your menu and how you communicate with your guests. The selection that you have, having one alcohol-free option isn't enough, but also doesn't place you as an expert. If you go to a place and you only have one beer instead of having, you know, like a lager and maybe like a dark, like whatever it is, then you have so much more. Instantly, the consumer is trusting you because they know that you're an expert. You have multiple offer and option. So making sure that your selection is as much of an expertise of your venue than the rest of your menu. Make sure that your team knows, there's a big part. The reason why people come to your bar is to have your expertise and the experience that you provide. And I think a lot of people don't actually make sure that their staff, their team is knowledgeable in the category to be able to share that with their guests. And then the last part is the promotion, making sure that like you talk about it. And the reason of that is because regardless if you think that like the guests in your bar or the consumer that you come across are drinking alcohol or not, actually what we see in the study is that the mindful drinker is either influenced or is the decision maker in where we're going into bars. That's very simple. If we were going for dinner, and let's say I'm vegetarian, you're not going to take me to a steakhouse, right? That just doesn't make sense. So it's exactly the same with a group of friends. If one person isn't drinking alcohol for the evening or moderating or cut out alcohol, they're not going to go to a place that doesn't have any alcohol-free offer. So it's really important to understand that the mindful drinker is the decision maker in where the group is going. That means that you want to make sure that your offer is clear, it's visible. Sometimes I go to places and I ask for an alcohol-free option and they say, I'm like, I can't see anything on the menu. And they're like, no, there's nothing on the menu, but we can make you something. I'm like, why is it not on the menu? So making sure that it's clear, that it's visible, that it's known, and that you put it on your menu, on your website, on your social media, that you, if you have a PR team, that you let your PR team know, because all of this is how you can recruit more people to come in your venue, but also retain a lot of people to not choose a different place.